Welcome to our weekly program, The Inside Story of Chabad in America through the Mindel archives. This week is Perik Rishon, Pirkei Avos, and there's a saying there, it says, Have a dan kol odom lekav schus. Judge everyone in the scale of merit. So I want to share with you a very, very shocking letter of the Rebbe that he sent to a rabbi. And the Rebbe addressed this letter to a rabbi. Before this, maybe a couple years before, the Rebbe sent a letter to this rabbi also, and there he wrote Dr. Rabbi. And here he only said Rabbi. And the reason for that is because this letter is shocking. The way the rabbi spoke, the Rebbe couldn't read such, or couldn't hear such words that not only a regular Jew, but a rabbi should speak like this. The Rebbe was shocked, and I will read this letter soon at the end. Now, before this, I just want to say a word. In the 1800s, in the time of, I think it's a Tzedek, there's somebody the name of Shimshon Refoil Hirsch. Everybody heard of him. And he lived in a time where the Reform movement began, Enlightenment, the Haskalah, and he was fighting against the movement to save Jews, so to save the youth. He himself was very frum, but in order to save the youth, so he had yeshivas that he called Torah im der Cheretz, or Torah v'der Cheretz. In other words, Torah and secular studies. Then it was important because of the Reform movement that started, to save the Reform movement. Now, by the way, the two head maskirim of the Rebbe, that was Rabbi Chadakov and Rabbi Nissan Mindel, they came from that yeshiva. In Riga, there was a yeshiva Torah im der Cheretz. Rabbi Mindel was the student, Rabbi Chadakov was the principal, as we once spoke. And they were involved in this yeshiva, and this was under Shemshel Refoil Hirsch. I think that Sarah Shnira was also connected, was the shita of Shemshel Refoil Hirsch, and the Rebbe once said on her Schura Latoiv, what she accomplished. Anyways, now here's the picture, a picture of this is Rabbi Chadakov, Rabbi Mindel, and this is Rabbi Baranchik. This is from Yeshiva Torah im der Cheretz, that this is a class that they had. So they come from that yeshiva. So Rabbi Shimshon Refoil Hirsch always used to say, and he said in German, a word, and I want to repeat it. Wenn die Rabbonim seinen geworden Doktorim, ist die jüdische Volk geworden krank. When the rabbis became doctors, the Jewish people became sick. What does that mean? And then he says, even though, of course, he had secular studies, doctor doesn't mean only medicine, doctor of philosophy, doctor of science, but when you mix Rabbonis, he says, with doctor, if you're a Rav, be a Rav. If you're a doctor, be a doctor. But don't mix doctor and Rav. This was his thing. And for example, we can't. The Rebbe always said, and this by a letter by smoking, people ask the Rebbe, why can't you go out with an isur on that you're not allowed to smoke? So the Rebbe said, I don't pass, I'm not a Rav. I do what I do. And also, a Rav cannot come out that you're not allowed to smoke, because some doctors say that doesn't matter. Or sometimes maybe in a few years, smoking will be allowed. A rabbi cannot come and say what a doctor will say. In other words, you can't mix doctor with a rabbi. Now, I want to bring a story of, I think I mentioned it once, what else a Rav has to be. A Rav has to have certain qualifications. A Rav has to have also a fifth Shulchan Aruch. Fifth Shulchan Aruch means there's Arba Chelki Shulchan Aruch, there's 4, and then there's a fifth Shulchan Aruch. My Rabbi Nissan Mindel, when he was in Torah in Derech Eretz, Goyim attacked him, and they beat him up, and his ear, one ear, not only that he couldn't hear well, but the fact that his whole body was in the hospital. So he had to eat every 3 hours. And if he didn't eat, he fainted many times. He had to have something in his mouth. This is a condition. So Yom Kippur, of course, he fasted. And he went to shul, he was lying down, he went to just to kneel, he had a problem. But Yom Kippur is Yom Kippur. But what about Tisha B'Av? So he didn't know what to do on Tisha B'Av. So he asked the Frierdiker Rebbe, what should he do Tisha B'Av, his condition, by fasting? So the Frierdiker Rebbe told him, ask a Rav. And then, before he walked out, the Frierdiker Rebbe called him back and smiled to him, and he said to him, aber soll's wissen als a Rav, aber soll's fragen a klugen Rav. Gedenk, a klugen Rav. And he smiled. So Rabbi Mindel went out. His Rav was Rabbi Shmuel Levit, Olav Sholom, given a klug Yerid. So he told him, he says, the Rebbe told me I should ask a klugen Rav, should I fast on Tisha B'Av? So Rabbi Shmuel Levit says, as the Rebbe says that you should ask a smart Rav, then you could eat on Tisha B'Av. This is something that a Rav must have, is also, it's called the fifth Shulchan Aruch, not only Arba Chelke Shulchan Aruch. Another thing I want to share with you, before I read the letter, my father, Olav Sholom, had shimush. He had, it's called a rabbi in training. Before you become a Rav, you should have shimush, training. See how a real Rav conducts. See Shilas. So my father was in training by Rabbi Mindel Dubravsky. Rabbi Mindel Dubravsky was Rabbi Dvorkin's father-in-law. Rabbi Dvorkin used to be the Rav in 770, the Rav in Crown Heights, and this was his father-in-law. He was a big gun, a big Rav, one of the biggest Rabbanim, Rabbi Mindel Dubravsky. I mean, people that heard of him, people knew him. So my father had training by him. So a lady comes in with a shaila and a chicken. Nowadays, we don't see ladies standing in line by Rabbanim by chicken. Maybe all chickens are kosher now, that we don't know. That's another program that we have to have. What the Rebbe wrote to somebody about girls knowing about how to salt meat and chicken and the whole thing, but that's another program. But we don't see it now. I don't know why, but that's the way it is. But those days, years ago, women used to stand by Rabbanim, and Rabbanim used to take the chicken. So a lady comes in. So Rabbi Dubravsky, Rabbi Mindel Dubravsky, tells my father, "You paskin, you look at the chicken." So he took my father took the chicken, and he saw a streif, because there's a bone that was red, and that bone, everybody knows that's a zichar treif. So he told the lady, "It's treif." And before she left, Rabbi Mindel Dubravsky called her over and says, "Come here, I want to see it." He looks at the chicken again. He looks. He says, "Eden, it's kosher. You can go home. It's kosher." My father was shocked. Everybody knows that spot is treif. So Mindel Dubravsky saw my father was shocked. So Mindel Dubravsky said to him, "Be'emes, you are right. Aber you overlooked a hidden tzemach tzedek. Dus verguckte behalten zum Machzedek, that in this case, in this lady's case, you can make it kosher. So sometimes a Rav, even though it seems like it's not good, but a Rav has to have a certain cook and know that sometimes that you have to make it kosher. I just want to bring this Maaseh as a Maimer Muzgir. Now I want to read to you the shocking letter that the Rebbe wrote to this Rav. First, the Rebbe writes greeting. The Rebbe does not write to him blessing. This is shocking. After reading your letter of January 29th, my first reaction was to ignore, and the Rebbe erased the word ignore and wrote to instruct my secretary not to answer. This the Rebbe wrote with his own handwriting. But then I remembered the exhortation of our sages of the Mishnah to judge everyone in the scale of merit. Though frankly, I have difficulty in finding any merit this in your letter, perhaps because I am not accustomed to read letters of this kind of name calling. Pardon my vulgar expression. What would you think of a person, even not called rabbi, who had just read a report of something happened thousands of miles away in a place and country equally far away in terms of the society, spiritual climate, and customs prevailing there, accepts the report on its face value, especially without taking the trouble to verify whether it is perhaps biased, slandered, or a slight distortion of the actual facts, and immediately jumps, and the Rabbi erased the word jumps and wrote comes to the conclusion to condemn the alleged culprits, and by association a host of other people in a vehement and unrestrained manner, using epithets of any responsible person, such as in the above mentioned letter. I did investigate what actually took place and the circumstances surrounding it, and it made me wonder how many humbly apologetic letters you would have to write to those whom you so misjudged and slandered in your uncalled for outburst. In light of the above, I trust you will not feel offended, understand my not signing this letter personally, though I dictated it and read it, with due respect for Lubavitcher Rebbe Shlita, my secretary. And this is the letter that the Rebbe made a goes on, and he told the secretary to send it to him, and he wrote at the bottom, he wrote Moher. So we can learn out from this letter, Ahiroe, first of all, Havidan Lekav Schus. But Havidan Lekav Schus is lav davke to everybody. If you see a person does something intentionally against Torah mitzvahs, if you're going to judge him on his merit, then he'll never do tshuva. So here the Rebbe had to do this, and the way the Rebbe wrote this letter, it's unbelievable. And this is the Ahiroe that we all can learn out. We can learn from the Rebbe how we should conduct ourselves. That even though the Rebbe couldn't take the way a person speaks Lashon Hara or the Chilus, that apparently he wrote words on somebody, and it's not even so. You have to be careful before you say something, how you have to be careful. And this is from today's Pirkei Avos that we can learn out. Havidan Kalodam Lekav Schus. In Mitzvah Shem next week, we will continue our weekly program. Thank you.